Hello and welcome to another episode of Eat North Variety Pack. We have an amazing show for you today. Andrew Fung of Kim's Convenience, country singer Drew Gregory. It's going to be an amazing show, so let's let the intro roll and have some fun.
Eat North Variety Pack, food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack, 'cause variety's the spice of life.
And just like that, my lovely co-hosts have appeared. I'm joined by Carmen, Cheng, Mairlyn Smith today. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
It's great to see you as always, although I can't really see you with the setup I have, but I imagine that you're looking lovely today.
I look spectacular.
I bet you do. The magic of live streaming. Anyway, so I have a question for you. I have drank the Kool-Aid and I've become a huge fan of TikTok. I think it's a really fun app. I think there's a lot of interesting food hacks on there. What do you two think of it? Carmen, have you tried it?
You convinced me because of your love of TikTok
That was a
food
loaded
hacks
question, yes.
to go back on the app because I had tried it and gave up. And I am addicted to TikTok stories. I've listened to everything in the past 24 hours from people's exes getting revenge, people who've been near-death experiences, all sorts of stories on TikTok for sure. It's been very fascinating. I'm learning it.
Really is fascinating. I feel like they call, there's food TikTok, there's, I think, divorce TikTok, there's gay TikTok, there's many kinds of TikTok. So it's interesting what the algorithm chooses to show you and how you can really just get lost in a world. I know, Mairlyn, I know you've made a TikTok video before.
I've done 2 TikTok videos. We did I'm not wearing underpants today. That was hilarious. Anyway, I was afraid to go down that rabbit hole and suck some more of my life away. So I have not embraced TikTok as much as you, but I loved that hack with the tortilla wrap. Oh my gosh, that blew my mind. So
that
thank
is
you, Clapson.
That's one heck of a hack. I think we have an image of it too if we're on the screen with all three of us chatting here. And it's so amazing if you can imagine just cutting a simple slit into a tortilla or a pita, and you put your toppings in the 4 different quarters and fold it all up and grill it. It's truly a game changer, and it's something so simple. I feel like I've had lunch most days this week with that wrap. Seriously.
I don't know. I like my ingredients inside the wrap to touch. And I feel like this is probably good for people who don't like their ingredients to touch. But I want my cheese to melt into my chicken or tuna or whatever I have in the wrap.
But don't you think even if you put all those ingredients together and just put them in 4 little piles and then folded it, you would get a nice textural element that you wouldn't have otherwise?
I can get on board with that.
Okay.
So I know that, in Alberta anyway, our restaurants are still closed for dine-in service.
Mm-hmm.
But I think looking forward into 2021, hopefully we'll start to see improvement in COVID. Vaccines, hopefully, across the country are going to roll out and, are going to take hold in the next few months. But are either of you looking forward to anything in terms of restaurants or the food world in 2021? I know, Dan, you wrote a piece about Calgary
Mm-hmm.
and how we have a food hall opening. And funny enough, it's opening in a building that I worked in for 7 years.
Oh, I
so
didn't
I'm
know that.
quite jealous that,
that it wasn't there before.
There.
I think restaurant scenes in general will see very slow growth this year as things, as more people get vaccinated and whatnot. But I do think that Beltline market, which it's going to be a multi-level building with many things in it, but I think the food hall will be the main draw. So I think I am definitely looking forward to that. And there's also a restaurant in downtown Calgary that's on, I believe, the 40th floor of the Scotia building. It's called Major Tom, and it's still not open yet. And it actually was completed last spring. So it's been this restaurant that's fully completed, fully modern, contemporary restaurant from Concord Group, and it's just sitting there, just gathering dust, was waiting for downtown workers to return. So it's fascinating in and of itself.
I just want someone to frickin' serve me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sit at a table and somebody bring me food and smile and bring me wonderful wine. And I don't want to. I'm getting tired of cooking. And, for someone who writes cookbooks for a living, that's really making a statement. And I am glad to see that the trend, here in Toronto, we are basically, we're basically locked down. We're told to stay home with, I don't know, everybody's always very confused. But anyway, I'm glad to see people are staying home and cooking. But is there a secret ingredient in your pantry? For me, I think I like having mayonnaise and Dijon grainy mustard, because those together or separately is kind of magic. So do you have a secret little stash of condiments or something in your pantry that's going to make it? That's a game changer? Carmen?
Yes, this year I have been, well, I've always been into fish sauce, but this year I've gotten into fish sauce salt. Tongue twister. And I throw in everything just for that extra hit of umami, and that extra like bit of savoriness. It makes everything taste better. Dan?
I need to try that. That sounds amazing. But yeah, I'm with you, Mairlyn. I think mayo can be a secret ingredient that makes things taste extra delicious, and you can't quite put your finger on it. So I love mayo for that. Things like mashed potatoes. Also, brushing the outside of a grilled cheese or a grilled wrap is always a great way to use it. But I think that onions are also really underrated, and I think that they're very versatile. Like you can eat them raw with a burger, or grated into a wrap, shawarma style wrap, or you can caramelize them for an hour and get this delicious, sweet, rich condiment you can use on so many things. So I feel like on top of that as well, onions are so inexpensive that you can do a lot with them and not spend any money.
And I saw your Twitter thing where you were stirring up your onions, and I could smell it. I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. So good for you. Look, you are changing my life with wraps from TikTok and frying up onions. Come on, baby.
If anything, I do set out to impress you on the daily, so I'm happy to hear that we're starting strong with 2021. But
don't screw up.
No, okay. So keep my fingers crossed. So it's time to bring on our first guest, very well-known Canadian actor based out of Calgary, Andrew Fung. He is part of the ensemble cast of Kim's Convenience, which is one of my favorite comedies on CBC, and I am sure it is yours as well. So we'll bring him on to chat a bit about food and the new season of the show. Hey, Andrew, thanks so much for being on.
Hey, thanks for I feel like I'm in Toronto now full time.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like by being invited to the show, I feel like I'm in Calgary, which is nice to come back home.
Oh, we love
that.
That's great. So living in Toronto, obviously in lockdown right now, what was it like to film the new season of Kim's Convenience during all of these pandemic-related restrictions?
Yeah, it was the effort of an entire community. The cast and crew came together, and what I loved is that there were like so many protocols. I am so used to COVID tests now, getting repeated tests, multiple tests a week. But it's like literally the cast and crew was like so respectful and diligent in following the rules and guidelines. For us to complete 3 months of filming with 0 cases is incredible. And it's a testament to everyone just being like, oh, you need more time to set this up? Great. Like everyone was spaced out. So one time I opened the door to like just the set, and like there was like a room and there's a guy like pull focusing, and he's like looked up at me, and I was like, whoa. And it's like people just found their own space to work, whether it was like in like these nooks and crannies in the studio. But it was just the community coming together, and I think it's reflected on the screen.
Was there ever a time where you thought maybe the season wasn't going to be filmed, or that it might be severely delayed?
Well, yeah, obviously in the summer, we didn't know, and also like it was getting our schedules lined up. Like my co-star Simu Liu was filming Shang-Chi in Australia, his Marvel movie. I was filming Winona Earp out in Calgary. And so there was just, everyone had a project that we were all just trying to line up. But I knew that we had to make this season. Like we had to make this season of Kim's Convenience just because we love the show so much, and we know how much it means to fans. But once we started going, like once we got up on our feet, there was no doubt like we were going to finish this season. Like all of us were like mentally, like just, I know for the cast, like for us, for 3 months it was at the studio or at our house. Like there was no messing around. Like we just focused in on it. And so we knew we had to do it. So once it was up, we were ready to go.
That's great. One thing that I love about Kim's Convenience is that I feel like every character is so complementary to one another, and I feel like you get so invested in everyone's journey. And I think that watching your dynamics, obviously, with all of the characters in it, it's just, I don't know, I find it so lovable, and it's just to show that also really showcases diversity at a time when I think diversity should be really front of mind for people. Do you feel proud to work on a show that really exemplifies that?
Yeah, I'm proud to work on a show that, like, at first in season one, all the questions were around diversity and representation, and I'm so proud of that. But what I'm even more proud of is that, like, these are characters that are fully like they have a purpose. So for so long, BIPOC actors of color were brought onto a show as narrative tools to move along the plot lines of the main characters. But here we have a situation where these are like fleshed out characters. So I know with Kimchi, when I auditioned with Kimchi, like the description had a paragraph. It was the longest description I've ever read for a character, because it's usually when I read a description, it's like vague, anonymous person. But here it was like, this is the person he is. So when you look at Janet, Appa, Amma, when you see these characters, when you see Jung, you see fully fleshed out people who are flawed, who have their quirks, who have their positives and their strengths, but also their weaknesses. And that's what I think is so strong about the show. I think it's written these characters that are relatable. It's written characters who have a business, who are trying to make a life in Toronto. And I think that's what's relatable, because at the end of the day, I've been out in Regina, in Saskatchewan, and we've had farmers and country singers come up and go up to Paul and shout Appa, and they love it. And I was
That's
blown
amazing.
away. The Canadian Country Music Awards, the first time this happened, this like rock star of a country musician comes up and it's like, Appa. He's like, I need to shake your hand. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Oh,
What's going on? And he's like, I grew up in a small town and we had that convenience store. And so that's the point where you cross that thing about just being diversity and you become something that people relate to, right?
I love that.
And I think that's what I love about, that's what I'm so proud that we've been able to do. We made a show that was relatable to Canadians and people around the world.
I love that you come from an improvisational background, and that as an improviser, I was in Second City, so I get it. Do you feel that has helped you become a better actor, or has it hindered you, or has it been a leap forward in the comedy? Like, how do you see that it's worked for you?
Oh, well, I think improv is relatable in kind of so many different careers, and I think maybe you have pulled from your improv background into when you cook, when you write cookbooks, you're improvising with ingredients. You're willing to play, and I think that element of play, that element of saying yes and being positive, has helped me in my career and has helped me get to where I am. Like for the people in Calgary, you saw me hustling a career. Like, I started with nothing, like doing these improv shows, emceeing these events, but it was always like this yes and mentality of like taking on work, building relationships. And I think that's something that's carried me through. I get the question a lot of like, this improv, do you improvise a lot? And I don't improvise a lot, but what I do is I'm willing to play in the rehearsal. When we rehearse a scene, I'm willing to like throw out some options, but I'm also like willing to like let them fail. Like, if the director's like, no, we don't want that, I'm like, cool. Like, I'm not hurt by it. And I think that fluid movement of ideas and offers and willingness to try and to fail has helped me so much. I will say improv did not help me learn lines. That has been the since season 1 to season 5, my ability to learn lines has like skyrocketed. Because like season 1, I had like a piece of paper. I'd be like, oh god, I could just say these lines, because with improv, I say whatever I want, like whatever's right in the moment. Yeah. And now I'm at the point now where I feel comfortable like reading a script, internalizing it, and like being good. But like season 1 and 2, I was frightened all the time about not knowing my lines and just like letting everyone down.
I'm a big fan of the show, and I never saw that. So you're a better actor than you're giving yourself credit for. I never saw that you were scared. No, for sure.
I constantly thought I was going to get fired, constantly. I think it was a bit of the Calgary coming with me, in the sense that I built my career in Calgary, but I think a lot of times Calgary's seen as the underdog. We're like the underdog. And there's that moment where you step out to the big city of Toronto and you're not really sure you can hang. right? And it took a little bit, but then there was a point where I'm like, oh, I can hang with these people. Like I got it. So I think it's a bit of just getting over that underdog mentality and that we rise up to be on this national scale. And I think that affects a lot of Alberta artists. Like when we leave our bubble to explore, we're just a little bit of just discovery. But I think we've seen it before. We're seeing it in music, especially. You know, like people, when you leave your bubble, once you get out to these places, we are repping because Alberta trained me. They taught me, gave me all the skills to succeed.
For sure. I love.
Sorry, Carmen.
Go ahead, Mairlyn.
Oh, no, I'm from Vancouver. So when I first came to Toronto too, I felt like I was a hick. So, I get that mentality about what, and I wore stupid clothes. I didn't fit in. I looked like I was from another planet. So I totally get what you're saying. Anyway, Carmen, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love that you're from Alberta, Andrew, and I love that you are so proud of it. And you talked about how, we've seen you hustle, and I actually met you when you also did a lot of community work with Youth Central here in Calgary.
Oh, wow.
And what a fantastic supporter you've been of the Calgary community and continue to be, right? But I'm wondering, taking it to food, what's the food you miss from your hometown now that you're in Toronto most of the time?
And for the viewers who don't know, while I was hustling a career at Loose Moose Theatre in Calgary, I was a director of a nonprofit called Youth Central. So I was ingrained in the community. So I'm such a passionate person about Calgary because I know what we're capable of, and I know the people doing grassroots work. In regards to your question, someone the other day put up a picture from Saigon Deli for their beef satay sub, and I teared. I looked at my wife. I'm like, you see that? You see the lard, you see the mayonnaise, you see the beef, the carrots. I craved Saigon Deli. Dan, you and I have talked about Saigon.
Yeah,
in
so good.
Like when you put up a picture about that satay beef bowl, I just was like, I taste the warmth in my mouth. Like I taste it.
It's so. I have a question for you. Is there any peanut satay pho quite like that in Toronto? Because I haven't found it. I feel like this one particular pho is very specific to Calgary.
Yeah, and I think that one in particular is that one from Saigon in particular so it's dense in a way. It's rich. Like it's such a.
I feel like there's probably half a jar of peanut butter in it. I'm not sure. It's very rich.
Yeah. It's like if you walk by it, there's an allergy. Yeah. Like you get infected.
It's true.
I find what I love about the Vietnamese food in Calgary is that Calgary has such a rich Vietnamese culture, and I think that is part of the immigration process. Like my parents, when my mom's side, when her family was immigrating. They were like the family was waiting to see where they would go. The initial wave of Vietnamese immigrants, and there was talk of them going to New York. But then there was an offer to be sponsored in Calgary, and my uncle was like, "Oh, Calgary, a lot of oil and gas jobs." So he took that chunk of the family to Calgary, and then waves would come. So I think that Calgary's Vietnamese heritage is so strong and rich. Mm-hmm. And you see that in the restaurants where they're cooking with authentic recipes and they're using that Alberta beef. That ain't getting better than anywhere else. And so I think because of that, you get satay that is so good. Mm-hmm. And in Toronto, I imagine it's the same, but I just feel like you're right. I've been to Vietnamese restaurants, like a Vietnamese sub, no disrespect, but I was at the CNC supermarket, like an Asian supermarket, and they had a Vietnamese sub, in the cold, the takeaway deli, and I was like, I'm gonna grab one of these. And my wife's like, how is it? I'm like, is it bad that this is the best Vietnamese sub I've had in Toronto at the grocery store?
I cannot go on too much of a Vietnamese food tangent, but it is my happy place. Do you know that Calgary is home to the only Vietnamese drive-through in all of North America?
Where's the Vietnamese drive-through?
It opened recently, and I'm obsessed with it. But it's on McLeod Trail. Remember that little shack that used to be like a beef on a bun drive-through?
Oh yes, Cowtown
on 50th Ave. Anyway, it's called To Me.
Was it the? But it was a buffet. It was a restaurant. That was a buffet,
this is
right?
Beside it. The buffet's beside it. This is a very small little drive-through, and it's really tasty.
I'm looking forward to my visit home now. I knew that immediately. Beef in a bun place. Beside that, it was a buffet before, and then it became a sushi buffet,
Yes.
and they had a sign saying you could order with iPads, and I'm like, that's the thing you're promoting? The thing you're promoting isn't the food is spectacular. You're promoting that you could order on an iPad. That is not a place I want to go to for sushi.
Okay, well, we don't want to ask you what you think about TikTok food then. We'll leave.
Yo, TikTok, I loaded this photo up because I also did the food hack. You can't see it, but I did
amazing.
You can't see it. I did the wrap hack, and then I grabbed, these are some of my go-tos in pandemic, which is the sriracha salt.
Yes.
And then the jalapeno jelly, which has I was shooting on Wine on Earth in Calgary, and there was a table of sandwiches, and I grabbed one and I bit into it, and I was like, who made this sandwich? Like, I need to find the person who made this. And they brought her to me, and they're like, what's happening? I'm like, this is the greatest sandwich I've ever had. And she's like, oh, like, no. Don't hear that. This is a good sandwich. This is one of the greatest sandwiches I've ever had. And I'm like, what's in it? She's like, jalapeno jelly. And I'm like, I've been all over.
That's great. Well, Carmen, sorry, I feel like we really interrupted you while you were chatting. So if you have one more question, have at her.
Actually, now that you're on the topic of pandemic food, what's been your comfort food during the pandemic? I think a lot of us have reverted to comfort food. And by the way, I know you're talking about how great Vietnamese food is in Calgary, and I agree with you, but I also love the congee scene in Toronto. But what's been your comfort food?
And I think every city has a scene, and I think that's the thing. It's like, it's not a disrespect to Toronto, because the Hakka food in this city is amazing, and I think we'll all agree that the Jamaican and Caribbean food and like the jerk chicken scene in Toronto is like next level. In Calgary, I wouldn't know where to go. Like, I wouldn't know where to go for jerk chicken. Mm-hmm. So I think in pandemic, some go-tos were Descendants, which is like a Detroit deep dish pizza, where they do the deep dish and the sauce on top.
So good.
Unreal.
Yes. Oh my
God. There's a delightful place in the beaches that sells these mochi donuts, and Isabella's. And yeah.
Mairlyn lives in the beaches.
I live close. I lived in it. What?
It's on Queen. It's across from the Kohl's bookstore.
Yeah.
And they sell these delightful mochi donuts. It's like a wonderful husband and wife. She's Korean. They also sell Korean food, but they have these donuts. So I think what it is, what I do love, and I'm not knocking TikTok or Instagram. I love TikTok and Instagram for discovering new food places. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, if this is the 2021, 2020 is a time we're supporting businesses, I don't want to just order from places I've eaten at. I want to seek out new places I have not eaten at, which opens up these opportunities. If I have to order out for that culinary experience, then I want to try a new place. If it's at home, honestly, I've been doing this thing. I'm trying to eat less meat. So it's been playing more with like meat alternatives, eating more vegetarian. And I think I got gout 2 years ago. And while filming a season. So there was a scene where I had to walk in, and Paul, who plays Appa, was like, yo, Fung, I think you need to go up higher in the stairs and walk down. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like limping down the stairs. and then Paul would like make a mistake, and they're like, we gotta do the scene again. I'm like, oh. But so it's made me kind of reevaluate my whole diet, and so eating more plant-based food has been something I've been experimenting with. But if I'm going out, I'm looking for these new places that you see, because if you have to order out, why not? Like, it's an excuse. We got to order out. We gotta support the economy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and for your gout, try tart cherry juice. Have you tried that?
Oh, I'm proud to say that my gout has been handled very well with like cherry juice, cherry supplements, black seed oil. But honestly, and it pains me, but it's cutting out the red meat, the red meat, except for when I go back to Calgary. And my greatest joy, I get back to Calgary, I roll into my house in Calgary, I open up the fridge, and I know what's inside. My mom has done a sneak attack an hour earlier, and inside that fridge are 2 beef satay subs from Saigon Deli, and I'm just like, I know it's gonna be there. I know it's gonna be there. I love it.
Andrew, I'm gonna have a banh mi tomorrow from Saigon Deli just for you,
Aw.
and I'm gonna take my photo.
You are so lucky, and you can get a haircut in Calgary, and you can go to restaurants. We've been in lockdown. I feel like every time they put us in lockdown, all of Toronto is like, yo, we've been doing the same thing for 2 months.
I know. I'm not doing anything different. I'm still just walking around my neighborhood, and it's just anyway, whatever.
Yeah, but
yeah.
It sounds delicious. Enjoy it, please.
We could talk to you all night. We really could, Andrew. I have one more question for you, though, before we let you go. We've seen Simu is becoming a Marvel superhero. Paul's obviously had his cameo in The Mandalorian, which was really amazing to see. Are we trying to manifest something for yourself in like the comedic world, or is there something that you want to see happen for yourself in the next few years?
Yeah, I think I always put stuff out into the world, and honestly, like Paul and Simu, I'm so happy for them. And I think that all of our careers have gone in these places I never thought. And I'll give you an example. I hosted New Year's Eve for TVO this year, a national broadcast for New Year's. 5 years ago, I hosted New Year's Eve in Calgary at Olympic Plaza. And so for me, everything I do is like this huge thing that I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. So I'm always putting stuff out into the world. I have said many times before, if I could make a run at Star Trek, I would be so happy. I'll put it out there. If I could make a run at Cobra Kai, I'll be really happy about that. But honestly, I think for me, for Simu, he always wanted to be a superhero. Mm-hmm. And for Paul, he's a Star Wars nerd forever. Right. And for me, I've always been a kid doing improv at Loose Moose on a Friday night. And if I could have a show of 20 people, I was so happy. And now I get to do it on a national scale. And hopefully when we come back and audiences are able to come back to theaters, I want to go back, and I had a whole slate of shows lined up across Canada. So I love where I'm at because I get to do what I love. And I think that that's what the show is giving us the opportunity to do. And I think that everyone in the cast, we get to do what we love now. And everyone has supported us. So hopefully Star Trek, but at the end of the day, I am so happy doing all of this. Like I'm a kid on like play day right now. So this is just the best.
Well, that's great to hear. We love your positivity and humble nature. It's amazing. So Andrew, thank you so much for sharing just your thoughts on everything with us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Do you have a slogan before we go? Like, is there an Eat North? Like,
we like to drink a little bit, so we usually cheers. but we
cheers, everyone.
Don't have an official slogan, but cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Fun. Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. And
right,
I know
ladies.
we see this with every guest, but I really could have talked to Andrew all night.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I think that now we need to help him to manifest this Star Trek acting opportunity.
Okay.
We're going to campaign. Mairlyn, you start. Kick it off.
Okay, I will.
Okay. So
I'm looking forward to our next guest. Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have a very talented country singer based in Alberta, Drew Gregory. He has a new single that just dropped last week called Beer with Anyone. I think we're going to show a little clip of his video here with music video, which actually just came out today. And yeah, Drew's going to perform an acoustic version of his song, and we're going to have a little chat afterwards about his life in the pandemic.
All right. I've been from here to there, seems that everywhere, everybody's got a story to tell. And I always find that with an open mind, sometimes I learn a little something myself. I'm always up for a good conversation. I'll always have a cold one waiting. Redneck, blue collar, suit and tie, silver dollar, pull up a chair with me. Black or white, left or right, everybody's getting my good time guarantee. ain't. You just name the place. High class, hole in the wall. Whichever way you swing, it don't change a damn thing. We can throw 'em back until last call. Oh, redneck, blue collar, suit and tie, silver dollar, pull up a chair with me. Black or white, left or right, everybody's getting my good time guarantee. Well, it don't matter where you're from, as long as you have some fun. Let me make it clear, ain't an ounce of judgment here. No, I could have a beer with damn near anyone. A doctor, nurse, construction worker, lawyer, trucker, banker, server, local, or just passing through. Teacher, farmer, engineer, firefighters, volunteers, and don't forget about our troops. I'll raise one up for you. It don't matter where you're from, as long as you have some fun. Oh, let me make it clear, ain't an ounce of judgment here. No, I could have a beer with damn near anyone. Yeah, I could have a beer with damn near anyone.
Yay!
Drew Gregory, everybody. You know what? This is not a beer. It's a seltzer. But can we have a seltzer together?
Hey, that works for me.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that's a really fun song, Drew, and I love the underlying message in it. I feel like it is talking about acceptance and patience and willing to hear the opinion of another person. I think that's a really valuable message, and I think it's also one that's not too common in a country song. So that makes me appreciate it even more.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's funny to say that. When we were writing it, I brought this idea to a songwriting friend of mine, Eric Dodd. We were down in Nashville, and I come from a very small town. I mean, we all look the same and talk the same and sound the same and got the same ideas probably. But I was very fortunate to do a lot of traveling in pretty early in my life, I guess, kind of right out of college, and got to go down to Australia and do some backpacking. And then the music's taken me so many other places, and just one of my favorite parts about the backpacking and then now the music scene has always been just chatting with as many people as I could from as many different backgrounds, and it doesn't matter, like a song says, doesn't matter who it is, but you get a beer and start chatting with someone and listen to their stories, and I just think you get a better worldview all around, and I'm gonna continue that until the day I die. Like I said, one of my favorite things.
I love it, and it's something about, right now being in this pandemic, that the message of it is just so awesome. I mean, from the standpoint of being open-minded, but also like I miss having a drink with damn near anyone. Right?
Yeah, I'm very thankful for the Skypes and the Zooms and all that. It's I mean, I just can't imagine this happened 15 years ago when we couldn't do all this. I mean, you could always phone someone, but yeah, we've been with the band every couple weeks and stuff, and just trying to get together with a few people, even the Facebook Lives and everything we've done. It's been good to at least connect like that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting back face to face and having a beer.
So as you were singing, all I could hear was my husband in the background in my head going, yeah, he's you. He's totally you. Okay, so and he'll, wherever we go, he'll have a beer with anybody and you get to know somebody. Okay, so is there a beer that is better for chatting with, or any beer will do?
I have never been much of a beer snob. I think lately with will drink anything, but I think lately with all the support small businesses and stuff like that, there's a local brewery in Strathmore here, so I've been on this is Origin Malting and Brewing. They're a great local company, but trying to support the breweries a little more, the smaller guy for sure. I heard you guys talking before, kind of the underdog mentality. I've always had that, so happy to support a craft brewery any day.
My husband's favorite beer right now is called Hazed and Confused, and it and it's a craft beer too, and he absolutely loves it. So I'll give you that as a pointer.
Based off a great movie too. I love that one.
Yeah.
And so, Drew, Beer with Anyone is the first single of a series of songs you're releasing this year, right?
Yeah. So when we could kind of get together with a couple of people, the band and I went out to a barn about an hour east of Calgary this summer, and brought some recording equipment and a bunch of beer and all our instruments, mostly acoustic, and wanted to kind of do a little bit of a rootsy project. It started as something I was just going to do it in our shop, the back of my shop, and call it the shop sessions or something, but it kind of grew and grew, and everybody wanted to get involved. And I think the most special part about this whole project was that my whole band was involved, my crew was involved. We had, some of you know Michelle Spice, a great local photographer. She came out and did some pictures. We had a video crew out there. We just knew it was going to be such a fun weekend. We camped out there the whole weekend and just made some music and let the tapes roll, let the cameras roll. And it's pretty exciting to get all this out into the world now, because I've been sitting on it for a long time, but we just had such a blast. And I think you can really see that in all the video that we're going to be putting out.
And here's to hoping that by the summertime you can at least do some small shows. I'm sure you'll be able to.
Yeah, no, that's our big hope. I don't think we can I mean, it was tough. I remember in April thinking, like, with Stampede and everything, I hope Stampede. I hope they don't cancel Stampede.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that March, April of this year, and look at where we're at now. But so I won't say anything, won't jinx it. But we could really use some income and some crowds and some faces to play in front of, for sure.
Absolutely. So we'll embrace Andrew Fung's mentality of manifesting, and we will also manifest this for the summertime.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Anyway, Drew, thank you for closing out the show with that wonderful song, Beer with Anyone. This is very catchy. It's available, obviously, everywhere, and the music video is out today. It's been a super fun show. Thank you, everyone, for watching. My lovely co-hosts, Mairlyn Smith and Carmen Cheng, and we'll see you all next week.
Eat North Variety Pack. Food and friends with Canada's best. From east to west, there and back. Eat North Variety Pack. 'Cause variety's the spice of life.